You're watching Musical Theater MASH. Yeah. It's Tony season.
The Tony! Tony.
Did somebody say Tony Awards? I said Tony Awards. That's because the 68th Annual Tony Awards are just around the corner. So I thought I would let you know everything there is to know about this year's musicals. Hold on to your hat, folks. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder is the most nominated new musical this season, and it seems for good reason. This charming new musical comedy tells the story of how everyman Monty Navarro finds that he is ninth in line to inherit the aristocratic Dysquith family earldom. Of course, the only way up the inheritance family tree is murder, and more murder. The music is great. It's got a bouncy, turn-of-the-century British music hall feel and is overwhelming with lyrical wit that, in its shining moments, gives Sondheim a run for his money. His piles and piles of money. It is a show about turn-of-the-last-century murder, so naturally it's hilarious.
I am the next Earl of Highhurst, and the last one you'd expect.
Of the nominees for Best New Musical, this one is certainly the most original, and in today's Disney-fied, jukebox, blatantly unoriginal Broadway musical scene, that deserves some mad props. A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder is nominated for 10 Tony Awards, and you can expect this show to be a frontrunner this year. Again. Well, let me justify that. Beauty and the Beast is opulent and stunning. The Lion King was an entirely different show than the movie. Mary Poppins is practically perfect in every way, while Aladdin is flashy and sparkly and, well, that's about it. Aladdin is, well, Aladdin. It's the 1992 movie that everyone knows and loves. There's some new songs, of course, or rather they added back in some of the songs that were cut from the movie. There's some character changes, but hey, the same guy plays Jafar, so there's that. The carpet ride is stunning, the genie is popping with pop culture, and the production does try to stay true pretty much to the movie, but something gets lost along the way. Disney tries to appeal to the 5-year-old in all of us, but it may struggle to appeal to the 5-year-olds in the audience with this one. We've got 2 new jukebox musicals this year, After Midnight and Beautiful, the Carole King musical. After Midnight has been around in New York in a couple different forms before finally making it to Broadway. It features the songs of Duke Ellington, Jimmy McHugh, Dorothy Fields, and Harold Arlen. Now, you may not recognize some of these names, but I bet you you'll recognize some of their songs. There's little, if any, plot to speak of in this musical review set after midnight in New York's Harlem, but a revolving door of special guest stars and a rip-roaring, high-energy set of dance numbers certainly do seem to be filling the seats and tapping the toes. The Carole King musical is about, well, Carole King. For those of you born after Y2K, Carole King was a songwriter and later performer who wrote quite literally hundreds of pop songs. Much like Jersey Boys, this biomusical follows the life of Carole King and retells the tale of how she went from being a hopeful, brill-building songwriter to a hit pop star. But like many jukebox musicals, the real point here is the songs. Go Google a list of Carole King songs. You might be surprised at how many you recognize. Now, on to the nominees for Best Revival. Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Now, it's kind of a big deal that this show is playing Broadway right now. What was once a subversive, back alley, off-Broadway show is now playing to mainstream audiences in a 1,000-seat theater, and, well, in this case, that's a big deal. Headlined by living room favorite Neil Patrick Harris, this is a show with a loud voice, a big wig, and a whole lot underneath. Transgender rock performer Hedwig tells the story of love unrequited, war, botched operations, soulmates, and glam rock. This 7 Tony-nominated revival is important not only for its humanizing and complex story about the trans and queer community, but also for its kick-ass music.
I am on my way.
Gets its second chance this year after its just kind of okay 1997 off-Broadway run. Sutton Foster plays a young, disfigured woman on a bus ride journey across 1960s America to be cured by a Oklahoma televangelist. Along the way, she befriends 2 soldiers, one of whom is black, and they make their rocky way through the Deep South. This musical about appearances and looking past them has a heartfelt score that, as usual, Sutton Foster knocks out of the park. It's plot-centric and minimally staged, it's got a sweet message, and it's nice to see this show getting some stage time. Les Miserables is on Broadway right now, with its second revival making it one of the most overproduced, most often produced shows on Broadway. Les Mis is the winner of over 100 international awards and has become a global success on stage and screen, sweeping audiences through an epic tale of broken dreams, passion, and redemption, all against the backdrop of a nation seething with revolution. This newly reimagined musical has already broken box office records, and the Oscar-winning film version has become one of the most successful movie musicals of all time. And with that, we're going to go on to some of the odds and ends. Most of these musicals, although not nominated for Best Musical or Best Revival, either have leading actors or actresses or directors who are nominated, and it's worthwhile to know what they are. Over Broadway is a Woody Allen musical. Now how about that? It's got Zach Braff in it too, filled with gangsters, showgirls, and poorly integrated jazz standards. It's still a fun romp with some lovely Susan Stroman choreography.
I can't tell you I know what the answer will be.
Bridges of Madison County. Jason Robert Brown does a musical about people in struggling relationships. Now that is original. Bridges of Madison County is based on the book and the film that your mother used to watch with a pint of ice cream. It's got a nice folksy JRB charm and lovely performances. It also goes well with a pint of ice cream. If Then, better known as That Idina Menzel Show, is brought to you by the same duo that wrote Next to Normal. If Then is a great musical concept with mediocre execution. 39-year-old Elizabeth moves to NYC with her sights set on a fresh start and a new nickname. The show follows 2 possible storylines, Liz and Beth, and the possible paths they create. Kinda like Lost, but on a different island. Rocky, the musical. Yes, that Rocky. the one with the boxing. Brought to you by the same people who did Seussical and Ragtime, but that's not why you see the show. People see the show for the technical extravaganza that is a well-choreographed musical boxing match. A Night with Janis Joplin is exactly what it sounds like. This review is a wonderful tribute to the psychedelic singer-songwriter. And Cabaret has actually already won its fair share of Tony Awards the first time this particular production was staged in 1998. Still, it's back again for those of us who weren't old enough to experience crotch suspenders in the late 90s. And that's it. Those are the musicals you're gonna see at this year's Tony Awards. I encourage you to look up the plays as well. Daniel Radcliffe is in The Cripple of Something Something Something. Stephen Fry is doing Shakespeare and is hilarious. Go look them up and I will see you at the Tony Awards. Bye. One more thing. This Sunday during the Tonys, that's at 8/7 Central on CBS, I will be live tweeting the event because this is the 21st century and we should be able to experience these things together. Come find me on Twitter. I'm at MusicalMash and we'll have a grand old time. It'll be great. I'll bring the wine, you bring the popcorn. Oh, it'll be so much fun. I'll see you there.